they put the anesthesia in her, and she went limp. And now I'm holding a limp daughter in my hand, and I have to lay her down on that PET scan table and walk out. And that to me was a sacrifice that I gave back to God. And I said, she's yours now. You know, and I prayed that he would bring her back to me.
It was a normal morning for Bill and Caitlin and I. We got up on a Sunday, February 20th, 2011. We went to church. Caitlin was not acting her normal self during the church service. She just kind of was sleeping and not wanting to eat. And it was that night around 7 p.m. on that Sunday evening. Caitlin and Bill and I were sitting on the couch, and she was laying in between us, and he looked at me and he said, "We need to get to the yard now." So I picked Caitlin up, and as we were walking to the back door, I was holding her, and her upper body went limp. So the triage nurse comes out, and she takes Caitlin from me and takes her to the back. I had no idea what she was going to do with her. So about 10 minutes later, she comes back, and at that point, Caitlin has an IV in her head, and the nurse looked at us and said that her blood sugar was at 30, which normal is 80 to 120. Caitlin was diagnosed with hyperinsulinism, which is a very rare disease. It only happens in 1 in 60,000 kids are diagnosed with it. It's pretty much the pancreas is producing too much insulin, which causes her blood sugar to drop. The doctors came in and told us about this hospital in the United States, in Philadelphia, that was doing research on hyperinsulinism.
Dana and I both put our jobs on hold for as long as it was going to be. We had no idea how long it was going to be. We thought it may be a week or two. Turned out it was 49 days plus.
On March 23rd, the doctors and nurses came in and took Caitlin to the OR. And as we said goodbye to her, we didn't know if she was going to come back alive. We had no idea.
At that point, I made a point that I was going to give it all up to God, and whatever happened was going to be His will.
So as time went on, I received a phone call from Dr. Brunson, and he was just letting us know that he was praying for Caitlin and he hoped everything went well, and it just meant so much to me that we were getting ready to face talking with the doctor. We had no idea that we had somebody praying for us right at that point. So the doctor walks in, he comes in with his head down, and he said, "I don't know how to tell you this, but she ended up having the worst case scenario, which there was a focal lesion or a diffuse." And he said she had the diffuse. We ended up having to take 98% of her pancreas out. I just put my head down and I started crying. It was the first time I had ever cried out loud through this whole journey. And I just remember praying like, "Lord, why are you doing this?"
I said, "Lord, this may not have been the answer that we wanted, but it still may be the right answer." But I prayed not necessarily for her to be healed, which I did want, of course, but I wanted us to be able to handle whatever was given to us. And that was kind of a hard prayer for me, because then you have to release everything to Him.
Caitlin, as far as her follow-ups go, she goes every 6 months to the endocrinologist. She's gotten great reports since we've been back. The biggest thing is just checking her sugar and making sure that she's not a diabetic, and that is something we have to look out for because she is a high risk for diabetes.
I saw God show up in every person that we met, from the doctors to the nurses, to the taxi cab driver that drove us from the hospital back to the Ronald McDonald House that last night with Caitlin. God was with everybody there.
We've been through it. I know there's much worse out there in different cases, but to us this was very traumatic, and God was with us, and the prayers was just amazing.
We are truly blessed. Not only that God put her in our life, but that God has kept her in our life. And she truly is a miracle baby.